Of
Danny.
course.
Great to be with you as well.
I don't even know where to begin. As Sharon said before we went on air, it's numbing, it's exciting, it's surreal. How I dealt with it was I cried a little bit, and it wasn't a sad cry, it was that shock cry. My first thought, selfishly, I'll admit, my first thought was, wait, I can go on air and say, guys, now I have eight fatwas instead of 12, because the 4 issued under his supreme leadership died with him. So very selfish, I know. But then it carried on to all the personal pain he inflicted on me in my childhood, and then millions and tens of millions of Iranians, the Israeli people, everybody in the region, the funding of proxies. I mean, I can go on and on, but yes, praise God and thank you, Bibi. Thank you, IDF, the Mossad, the Israeli brave man and woman who carried out the attack, got us the confirmation, put a smile on millions of people's faces. Why don't I hand it over first to Aaron in Israel? What are you seeing? What's happening there with the news?
Yeah, Ani, we are absolutely exhilarant. It's just a day that, as I said to you earlier, the significance of the timing. Tomorrow evening, we're going to be opening up the Feast of Esther, the Feast of Purim, when wicked Haman was plotting to kill us, was threatening to kill us. And by the way, from the time that the decree and that the lot was spun, it was about 12 months that we had that fear, that threat hanging over our necks, over our lives. And finally, when that day came, the celebration, and if I can quote from the Bible, Esther chapter 9, verse 22, it says, "The days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned to them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor." This is truly a day that has been turned from mourning to joy. Now, we know that the war is far from over. The last half an hour, we've had a barrage of about 30 missiles that have been fired over here. The sirens have been going. My son and I went to the bomb shelter. We know it's far from over, but this is we hope, we believe, the beginning of the end. And all of our news stations are reporting it, not just the supreme leader, but a number of top officials. Talk about emotional, talk about excitement. The words Mazal Tov, congratulations. And you know what? We are so proud, even though we're taking a hit. We are so proud to be able to do this for you people, you Iranian people, because we love you and we know that the people love us. And so what joy that we can share with you guys, and to see some of the videos of the Iranian people dancing and shouting and singing in the streets. Liberation is on its way. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. And I should, before I come to Optim first, I have thought about this, and I want to be very careful how I frame this, and I will tell you why I'm being careful. Normally, I'm not. We need to acknowledge what happened at around 1:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, February 28th, was a strike by Israel, backed by U.S. military and President Trump. Why am I being careful? Because I hear the sirens already from the Dems and the rhinos of this was unconstitutional. We went to war with Iran. We did not. Based on many military agreements between the United States of America and Israel, we backed the Israeli military. We did not strike first. We did not drop the bombs. This was not unconstitutional. We did not need congressional approval for this. This was United States of America backing Israel's strike and plan on Iran. With that being said, let's also send special thanks to President Trump, Pete Hegseth, and all of our men and women in uniform who stood by the Israeli people, who stood by Israeli government, stood by biblical values, and did the right thing, even if it didn't look like they were leading the fight, but they did the right thing. With that being said, Upton, let me come to you on, of course, your personal feelings and emotions, and what do you think of how I think this should be phrased based on congressional point of view, you being a congressional candidate yourself?
You know, as someone who grew up and I just said it earlier, I hate this word that's used in the English language called Islamophobia, which is created. This word was created by the Muslim Brotherhood. I think everybody in the world has had 47 years of Islamic trauma, and I suffered from this Islamic trauma. I have PTSD, as I remember, being in my childhood in Iran and during the Iran-Iraq war, but more importantly, at the behest of these barbarians in Iran. But let me tell you, I've been on the campaign trail and I have really bad allergies. And yesterday I was exhausted. I was up from 5 in the morning, had to drive all over Texas, just the last few days of campaign trail. And by 8:30 p.m., I passed out. And unfortunately, I missed, the beginning of the strike. But let me tell you, President Trump, I'm 47 years old. President Trump is in his 70s. He was in Texas campaigning. He was at a Whataburger, then flew back to Florida, was at a party in Mar-a-Lago last night, completely outlasted me in terms of his energy and drive. And then at 1:16 in the morning said, "Gentlemen, I have to go to work." And he goes into the Situation Room, and then they attack. Let me tell you how amazing President Trump is. This is the first president ever in the history of the United States that's been this bold. And even though it's election season, even though it's primary season, he knew that even though this is so unpopular, not just with the Democrats, but with a lot of rhinos, a lot of Republicans that are getting paid under the table by the Islamic Republic lobbyists, some of which don't even know why they're getting paid. They just know they're getting paid. They don't understand that it's actually the Islamic Republic that's paying them to, or was paying them to survive, to just have a few more days of survival. But President Trump and Bibi are two of the biggest heroes of the Iranian people. And I think Bibi Netanyahu and President Trump are going to have many, many streets and squares in Iran named after them. And Esther was a Jewish princess married to King Xerxes. But let me say how important this relationship is between the Iranian people and the Israeli people. When I was at the Epic Mosque a few weeks ago, I called out all the Muslims there because they wouldn't pray for all these 42,000 plus maybe 100,000 people that have died in Iran. And the only country in the Middle East that's helped the Iranian people are the Jewish people of Israel. And we have so much history together. When Cyrus the Great freed the Jews and gave them gold to go build Babylon, the first temple, this was the thank you that we got from the people of Israel. And let me tell you, the people of Israel, they didn't do this with just say, "Oh, we're just going to send some troops." They had to go to shelters and they had to risk their own lives to give us this freedom. And let me tell you, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so emotional. From the bottom of my heart, from every American, from every Iranian American, to every person in Iran, to the people of Israel, thank you. You freed us from this occupation. We thank you. We cannot thank you enough. And you're going to have one of the closest allies in the Middle East. And I'm going to make a prediction. Iran will soon be a Christian country.
Amen. Amen. I don't doubt it with the now kind of transitioning to Sharon. With the reawakening we have been witnessing for last 3-4 years in Iran, millions coming to Christ, this is something that sometimes has been debated, but we have the Elam in Iran. I can see this, and I agree, by the way, I did say in my happy moment off air, I said, thank you, Bibi, you delivered. You promised and you delivered. Last year during 12 Days War, he did say that I will return the favor of what Cyrus the Great did for my people. It is my time to return that favor. And today he absolutely did. By the way, we have confirmation that one of our government officials, U.S. government official, has confirmed to Fox News that they do believe that on that strike, Khamenei and 4 of other heads of the government have been killed, because until now, none of our media outlet has confirmed it, but now Fox News has that out. So, Sharon John, coming to you, of course, funny enough, we're all exhausted, guys, in a good way. I slept from 1:30 to 2:47, and I've been at it reporting in Israel. Of course, Aaron, you can't sleep when this is happening. You know, the alarms go off. You got to go to shelter, come back up, or all the scenarios. And Optin just said he has been traveling and doing campaign. And Sharon John, we know you have been on a speaking engagement, but let me come to you with the prediction Optin just put on the table, and also your personal feelings toward what we just witnessed a few hours ago.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's all sorts of emotions, right? Because for 47 years, when we've had to flee our birth country, we've had to endure relatives, family, all of the things that Iran has had to endure, all the things the Iranians have had to give up outside the country, always hoping and praying for insight. So it's an emotional day. It's almost surreal. It's going to take time because there's so much yet ahead. I love what Aaron said. This is just the beginning. We have a lot longer to go. But praise God. I also echo what Upteen said. We thank the Jewish people. We thank the nation of Israel. I said all along, Annie John, you and I have talked about this. I said all along that I believed in my heart that it is Israel that needs to be able to finish the job. It is Israel that needed to be able to take that step. And thank God they led the way. Aaron knows this. Aaron, was there any planes left on the ground? Israel sent every plane that they had, didn't they? 200 planes.
Yeah.
It was historic.
Yeah. 200. We had 200 planes.
200 planes. That is historic. So this is a historic fight. This is a historic attack. We cannot praise God for the Jewish people. And this is why we stand with the Jewish people and the nation of Israel, because they are standing for that actual freedom. And as far as what is the hope for Iran, I actually believe, not only do I believe Iran has the potential of being a Christian nation, let's not forget the survey done in 2021, which is kind of old, but that survey showed that only 37% of Iranians identify as Muslim anymore, between predominant Shia and a small percent Sunni. The majority are secular. Some are turning back to Zoroastrianism. That they're ripe. They're open for the gospel. So not only do I think it has the potential of being a Christian nation, I think it has the potential to be the launching point for sending the gospel out to the rest of the Middle East. Very much like South Korea was for a period of time, where they were sending out more missionaries than any other country on the planet for Christ. So that's the potential, I think, that there is. Immediately, obviously, with the right transitional government, we know that Reza Pahlavi has said that he's going to sign a Cyrus Accord with Israel. So immediately you have an ally there to Israel. That's going to change the entire Middle East. But I think this is the potential for the gospel to go far and wide. And it is an emotional day. It is an emotional. I mean, think about it, for all of us, Annie, John, our whole lives. I mean, this is all we know. This is all I remember from the time that Iran began to turn in about 1976, 1977. My dad was warning us about what was going on and what he was seeing and the infiltration. This is our whole lives. And could it be that it is here and that
yes,
the people are going to be liberated, and now we are going to see down with Islam, down with this dictatorship, and the Iranian people returning to their Persian history. And well said as well. What an incredible timing, Aaron. Purim. This is not an accident. The Lord's timing to have it happen right before that, as the return, how the Persians came to the aid of the Jewish people, now the other way around. Incredible. Thank you, Lord.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, the confirmation, though, I should say this, of course, Iranian media and government are not going to confirm this for many reasons, but the main reason is if they confirm, Well, until the replacement is replaced, there is chaos. If they say no, then they're going to have to show him, which, by the way, is before we got off air earlier today on Worldview 2 with Brandon House and Aaron and Dr. Rob Linson, we announced that there has been an announcement that Khamenei is going to do a speech. Within 10-15 minutes after we got off air, I got notification that they have postponed it. About an hour later, they have canceled it. And immediately after that, the confirmation came out. When the confirmation came out, it was almost nighttime in Iran, in Middle East, I should say. But, and the martial law is still in place in Iran. So people cannot come out. But people inside the buildings, inside their homes, started cheering the news. You may not understand, those of our audience who don't speak Farsi, but here and there you hear them say, Zahak died. Zahak has a story of its own, but let's say the devil, the monster, and they're cheering. So I grabbed some of these videos. You just get the sense, even if you don't understand what they're saying. Thomas, if you can roll those 2-3 videos real quick for the reaction of Iranians inside Iran when they heard the news about Khamenei was killed.
خوشحالی مردم از کشته شدن علی خامنه‌ای ضحاک زمانه. شادی مردم.
I almost wish I could be there with them. Isn't that amazing? I don't know who remembers or seen videos, but during the 79, you could hear people inside their buildings or on top of the rooftop screaming about Khomeini back then. But it's like how history can reverse itself in 47 years. It's pretty amazing. Sharamjan or Abdin, I don't think... Do you recall any of that, or have you been told the stories about those days?
I was born in October 78, so I was a baby. I actually was born during the martial law when that happened. I'm sure Shadow may have some better memories from that. Well, I've seen videos.
I remember the protest the whole year right before we left. There had been an increase of all the protests in the streets. And all the propaganda, of course, about the Shah. And when now we left just before we fled in December, about 5 weeks before Khomeini returned. Right, he came back February 1st, 79, flew in. So, but one of the reasons my dad accelerated our leaving was because of all the paid protesters and all the things that were going on in Iran and all the. But that was so much darker. This is so much more hopeful. This is so much more brighter with the light coming. And to the point, I forgot to mention this when you asked the question, Annie John, because you're talking about a population in Iran potentially of over 5 million Christians now, from the estimates, the best estimates that we can get. The fastest, people have to understand that in the West, when I tell those people, the fastest growing church numerically on the planet is inside the country of Iran. So this is incredible. The prayers, all of the suffering of the Iranian people, including the persecuted Christians. This is unbelievable. The Lord is a deliverer. The Lord is a liberator. The Lord comes to give. And of course, we pray for the greatest freedom, because the greatest freedom is in the Messiah, is in Christ. But what an incredible time. And obviously now we got to pray for this to be finished, because Aaron knows this is a wounded, this is a desperate, wounded, whatever remnants are left. Aaron, did they not report that 40 other leaders were taken out as well? I thought Israel reported that 40 other top leaders.
Top leaders,
Yeah.
28. As of right now, close to 60 total, but 28 of them were top. I mean, head of naval officers, head of Shiraz IRGC headquarters, like really top ranking were 28. But in total, they have taken out 60 different departments, even I believe 2 Basij headquarters were taken out in Tehran as well. But 28 definitely higher. I mean, forget about the 60. They took out Khamenei. Nothing can beat that. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop.
And Annie, to add a little bit of historical context, you mentioned, what the people in the streets are chanting. You took out Zahak. And Zahak is this mythical creature from this beautiful book that the poet Ferdowsi wrote about 1,000 years ago called Shahnameh, or the Book of Kings. And it's all about these mythical Persian heroes that kicked out the evil Islamists. And the main protagonist of the Islamists was this creature named Zahak, who was this evil Islamist who had 2 snakes coming out of his shoulders. And funny enough, my name Upteen comes from that book, is The Seeker of Truth. I'm one of the kings in that book, and it's the father of Ferdinand. So history repeats itself. And I know, Annie, you like my analogy between the peacock throne and the iron throne. Let me tell you, it all started when Jon Snow went to the wall. It all started when Reza Pahlavi went to the wall and said, we have to protect this wall, because on the other side of the wall is the army of the dead. On the other side is the Night King. These people are zombies. And when Reza Pahlavi went to the wall in Israel, that's where it all started. And today we have to protect that wall. And the Night King has had a dagger in its heart. And I challenge everyone to watch what's going to happen to the Islamists all over the world, in Europe, the Pakistani, the crazies and the Pakistanis in New York. All of these people will no longer be emboldened. And today is time for people like me that's going to go to United States Congress to make sure I shut down every single mosque in the state of Texas, if not in the United States, because these people were all being funded by the IRGC. These people were all being funded by Qatar. These people had not great intentions. They're the Muslim Brotherhood. And now it's time to fight and kill every last one of the army of the dead and fight for freedom. And the way to do it is through Christianity and through love and the power of forgiveness that Christ brings.
Exactly. Amen. Brannon, are you with us? I want to hear Brannon's thoughts.
Well, I'm just finding it very interesting, and what a privilege to have so many people from Iran on our network who are now in America and have been warning for so many decades about Islam. And of course, then Aaron. So here we have our Jewish friend. I'm Gentile. We have our Iranian Persian friends. It's just an incredible day to listen to you guys. Although I'll tell you, Annie and Shahram, we have spent so many years talking about the rise of Islam in America. And here is the Iranians, the Persians, trying to throw off Islam when they're here in America building the mosque. They can't build them fast enough. They're getting help from people within the Southern Baptist Convention, helping build the mosque outside of Nashville and Murfreesboro, saying, if we don't defend their right to build a mosque and their religious liberty to build a mosque, well, what will that mean for us to build Baptist churches? I mean, the or I should say, interfaith dialogue of James White. Someone pointed out Justin Peters talking about Mamdani, the Muslim Marxist mayor, praying, and he said something like disgusting. Someone said on social media, disgusting? No, I'm sorry, Justin. You had your chance. Justin Peters, you had your chance. You're on video. I'm sorry. It's not going away. You're on video saying Islam is not what, Shahram? What did he say, Shahram? Just so people realize I'm not making this up. What did Justin Peters, now who wants to say it's disgusting to see the Muslim prayer of the mayor of New York City, what did he say about Islam and the church in America?
He said Islam is not a threat to the church. Islam is not a threat to any Christian. That's what he said.
And now, can you believe he's now upset and talking how disgusting it is about the mayor, the Muslim Marxist mayor? Yeah. He has no right. He disqualified himself, in my opinion, theologically, a long time ago when he locked arms with false teachers like James White, which is so ironic. He wants to go around picking up the low-hanging fruit of Paula White and others, but he wants to lock arms with hyper-Calvinist false teachers who want to have an interfaith dialogue and defend it with a Jew-hating, Holocaust-denying, Hitler-defending, jihadi-preaching imam like Yasser Qadhi, who had a mosque down the street, right down the street here from my house, my studio, and now he's in Texas building this. Shame on you, well, Justin. You know, Justin, people are laughing at you, Justin. They are laughing at you, Justin.
Another interesting thing to notate, by the way, the name of this operation was Epic Fury, and that disgusting mosque that, you know, people shouted at me and called for my beheading, that's called Epic Mosque, and we're going to show that Epic Mosque some fury when we shut it down and turn it into Texas Card House Poker Room.
Yeah, and I was going to say really quick, Brandon, we've talked about this many times. Where has James White been? He's disappeared, I think, off the face of the planet. Where have these people been when the people of Texas have woken up to Yasser Qadhi? You know, Yasser Qadhi, who is behind Epic, right? They've been silent. They've been nowhere. And now the people of Texas have had to pick up the torch to say, how do we stop this thing? How do we stop what they're doing? Well, it started by the compromise in the church. It started with the weak-kneed Christian. It started with comments like Islam is not a threat to the church. What a foolish, ignorant statement. And how about you tell that to all the Christians around the world that have been killed or maimed or prisoned or raped or tortured at the hands of Islam. So yeah, I agree with you. They've disqualified themselves from being able to now whine about Zoran Mamdani or his ilk taking over. You know, yeah, you don't get to speak now when you didn't stand when it really counted. So I'm glad you brought that up.
And where is Phil Johnson? Where is Phil Johnson of John MacArthur's Grace to You? Who, by the way, we have hundreds of screenshots of him and his little boys in the mailroom at Grace to You and others, and his little clan around the country. Where are all those hyper Calvinist Phil Johnson friends, along with Justin Peters, as you say? Where are they now? And why is no one saying, hey, you know what? James White, this is exactly what House and Hadian and Dakdock were trying to warn about in 2017. And yet, what were they saying? That your story was fake, Usama's story was fake. Some of them were saying this. Remember that, Shahram?
Yeah, absolutely. They called us every name under the book, and they failed at their responsibility as shepherds to protect the church, to sound the alarm. What you have done, what this network does, what the incredible people here, whether Annie or Aaron in Israel, what we do is we try to sound the alarm. We try to be watchmen on the wall, and that's what we were doing in 2017. We were warning about the exact scenario. And I love what you said this morning. I was speaking to a group of men at a prayer breakfast, and ironically, Annie John, my topic was on Iran. I had set this up 2 months ago. And here we get to the breakfast, and they're all looking at me like, "Did you plan this? Like, how did you plan this?" I said, "I didn't plan this. How did you know?" I said, "This is the Lord's timing." But I said, the message of the Iranian people. Here we have wear a hijab day. The Iranian women are like, "I'm burning the hijab." Here we want to dance with Islam and hug them and kiss them, and they're so wonderful. The Iranian people are like, we are done. We're finished. I mean, what a dichotomy! What an example!
So now we need the help. Now we need the help of the Iranian people to set America free. Israel
yes,
and
100%.
America has helped
Yes.
set Iran free. Now we need the Iranians and the Persians to help set free the Americans that have the mind rot of wanting to have an interfaith dialogue with Islam. We need to have them help us with the mind rot of anti-Semitism. So now it's the Iranians and the Persians' chance to try to help save America.
Amen.
And we're going to do it one step at a time. I'm going to do it with every breath of my being when I'm in the United States Congress from Texas 32nd Congressional District. But let me tell you, I tell people that, I don't know much about the Crusades. I've studied them, but I knew if they were today, many of the generals and the frontline officers in the Crusades would be of Persian and Iranian descent because we've endured this Islamic trauma. If there were Crusades today, many of the fighters in the front line will be a Persian, and we are here to make sure that this mistake is not done by the United States or other countries around the world. I've been so humbled, met so many amazing Iranian Americans that have reached out to me, thousands of Iranian Americans. And I get goofy people ask me for all kinds of goofy things when I'm in Congress. They're like, make sure no more text messages when you're in Congress for political all kinds of ridiculous. But the Iranian Americans, it's been so humbling. They've all asked me for one thing and one thing only. And some of them have cried when they asked me for this. They said, when you go to the United States Congress, please promise us one thing. You will not let the United States make the same mistakes that Iran did and let itself fall into the hands of these Islamists. Please don't let these crazy Islamists get a foothold in the United States. That's the only campaign promise that I've made Iranian Americans, and that's the only thing they asked me. But the analogy that I think is really important, the Islamists really wanted Iran, not because they cared what religion 90 million people at the time, 50 million people had. All they wanted to get when they wanted to capture Iran, and they did capture Iran, these people that are running around, they're Iraqis, they're from India, they're from Syria, they're from anywhere. They're parasites, and they wanted to use Iran's natural resources and trillions of dollars, billions of dollars that they've wasted to use on this stupid idea of the Islamic Caliphate to grow and become leeches and parasites and like the alien predator to take over other countries in the world. And let me tell you, the same playbook, a lot of people are missing why Mamdani is there as part of the Muslim Brotherhood. He's not there because the New York City has so much power that he's going to convert everybody to Islam. He's there because the city of New York has a $127 billion budget, and he wants to try to steal the city's coffers and use it to get the Democratic Socialists of America to steal every election and try to turn the United States Islamic. The Marxists, the Islamists, the neo-communists, and they've used the LGBTQ, unfortunately, as useful idiots. They're all trying to do this. And let me tell you, if the Islamists ever come into power, they're going to kill off the they're going to kill off the Marxists, they're going to kill off the LGBTQ, and they're going to be the most ruthless. It's the same exact playbook as Iran, and we cannot allow that to happen here. And they're after the budget of New York City, the $127 billion budget. Watch all the shady things that Mamdani is going to try to do to try to steal money from the coffers of New York City and give it to the DSA.
Yes, and we are always. Can I go first, Shamjan, or do you need to?
Yeah. Well, no. I was gonna ask you a question because Brandon mentioned. Yes, you.
Yes. Okay.
Brandon mentioned a text. Did you guys, by any chance, get a text? Both my wife and I this morning get this text from this number that is from the National Iranian American Council.
Yes, NIAC.
NIAC, right?
Yes.
Condemning the U.S. and Israel launch an unprovoked illegal assault on Iran this morning. Dozens of innocent children have already been killed in a strike that hit a girls' school in Minab. And then it goes on to say, we're going to vote as early as Monday to remove the war. So were you guys getting this? How did they get our numbers?
Okay, I didn't get it because I have basically blocked all the NIAC numbers that they have ever tried to.
Did I get it, Logan?
Sorry, what
I did not get it, but I did have two other friends who got the text of what you said. Now, as far as how they got our numbers, First of all, for our audience who may not know who NIAC is, they are literally the official lobbyist of Islamic Republic of Iran here in America. They've been here for a long time. They're not new. Right. And as far as getting our numbers, Sharamjan, that's not a hard thing to do. Those of us who are registered for especially voter registration, our background of being Iranian Americans are pretty public or accessible, so they can get our numbers. Again, I blocked a couple of times. I got them, not today, previous years. So I have them on a block list. But I did hear from 2 other Iranian friends who they got the text, and they were pretty actually upset with it. Because because NIAC said what NIAC said, but because of the fact that we haven't revoked NIAC's stats here in America and cut the money on them. That was their complaint. Guys, if you allow me, I want to take a moment here. First of all, we have Hediye who's going to join us here in a minute, but I want to make sure, because sometimes when this happens, like the 12 days war, election coverage, all of that, we jump on, head on, get going. And I always feel guilty at the end when I forgot to take a moment and remind, especially my audience on my platforms that are outside of Worldview Tube. I mean what I'm about to say, and I'm sure Aaron, Hediye, Sharam, and Optin can confirm this as well. We wouldn't be able to even air our happiness and joy and click if it wasn't. It's not just the network. Worldview Tube is by far the most reliable, factual network you find that will not sugarcoat things. It's not going to bend the truth just because we want more audience. The important part is the leader, Brannon House. Brannon could easily say, listen, it's Saturday, it's great, there's, just put a post up, we get to it Monday. I called Brannon at almost 3:10 a.m. Eastern time, and he picked up the phone. I said, it happened. He's like, let me get things rolling. You gather the footages. We're going to go on air ASAP. And we did. He could have put his phone on mute and go to sleep. It was Friday night. I'm asking everybody, there are so many different ways you can support the network so all of us can keep coming back here. And as Brandon said, we're committed. I might say Iranian American, but I will fight to my last breath for America. I will not betray the absolute chance America gave me to experience life, to learn what freedom even means. But if Brandon's network isn't here, a lot of our voices are going to be absolutely silenced. Trust me, it will be. So I'm going to walk you through a few steps, easiest steps. Majority of people prefer tax-deductible gifts, no problem. You can make a tax-deductible donation to Brandon's foundation that supports the network. You can go to www.foundation.com. That's www.foundation.com. There you can either make a donation online. There's a phone number you can call and make your donation over the phone with the trusted voice. Or there's a mailing address there. You can write a check, put it in an envelope, and send it in. These are tax deductible, but they heavily support the network that is supporting voices like those of us you see today on air. Again, send me a screenshot of one single network that is not just putting a post up about what happened, but rather explaining it, dissecting it, and having people from that side of the world come and tell you how they feel about it. You won't find it. Another great way that is not just supporting the network, but also supporting you, your household, your health, is go to worldviewtube.com/sponsors with an S at the end. You can see all of the direct sponsors of Worldview Tube, from Numi, Bella Grace, the satellite company, everything you can think of that would, again, help your health, help you prepare. And while you're making those purchases, again, this isn't about going and buying something luxury. This is about just go from some probably woke company you're buying your stuff from, go to a good company that is supporting patriots and truth tellers. Last but not least, just go to worldviewstore.com. That is where you can do your real preparation, not trying to, supermarket this. But as Kash Patel put out a tweet earlier today, FBI is monitoring the situation in the Middle East because they are holding the front line against potential terrorist attacks here in America. We all know that's a possibility, and we don't know when, but it might happen. You need to be prepared. You can find everything you need. I mean, from generator to medical kits to freeze-dry food, you name it. Water filters, go to Worldview Store. Let me double check so I don't get that wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is Worldview Store. Yes, worldviewstore.com. So those are 3 possible ways to support the network that is supporting the truth, supporting biblical worldview, and it's not bending to today's pressure of woke culture so we can continue having a voice. That being said, I hope you all check out all of those options. Pick 1, 2, maybe 3. That would be great. And with that, let's go back to our panel. I wanted to do this because I know the conversation is about to get heated because we're about to step into what's next. So I wanted to make sure I give that plug. And again, Brannon, I mean it. Thank you. Words are not enough, but I know that at least in my life for last 8 years, you have always opened your platform. Something was going on with Iran, from uprisings to Masa Amini's situation to 12 Days War. You never said no. Again, I'm sorry I woke you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, which was 2 o'clock your time, but I'm very grateful you're there. And trust me, every single one of us will stand by you as we fight Islamization of America.
Thank you, Annie. It's a team effort, and it's great to work with you guys. And I know all of our audience appreciates each and every one of you. And we, of course, appreciate all the people that support the network so that we can then give a platform to the great voices that you're hearing here. We just can't, it's just providential the way the whole team has been brought together. So great job, all of you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, I think I saw on the screen now, we also have Hedi Amir Ahmedi, who's, again, no stranger to my audience or Worldview Tube audience. She's also joining us. Hedi John, we all had a chance to express our feelings, emotions, and take on the great news of Khamenei killed on the strike by Israel. So your turn. Go ahead and give us your thoughts on it.
Well, the devil is dead. Not maybe the big devil up there, but at least this devil's dead. It is. I mean, what is there to say? It's just a glorious day. It is a new beginning. It is a chance for the people inside Iran to be free. But you know, there's millions of us all over the world that are just thinking about going home, bringing our children home. My daughter, the first thing she said to me is, "Mom, do I get to go visit Iran?" It's just this sense that we have to want to not only go back to visit, but to help rebuild. And so I'm just really excited at what the future holds. It is such an important moment. Of course, we're all worried about what's next, but we just want to enjoy this moment as it is.
Yes, amen. I know. I've been asked repeatedly since the 12 Days War, like, if regime is toppled, are you going to go back? Yes, I will. I will go back to help build the country. I will go back to visit. I would love to stop by Darban and grab probably a kebab. But home will always be America. I'll be coming back because, as we just were talking about, there is way more to be done here in America. But I do want to play this video. So the Israel army put out a video and they attached a text to it saying it conducted its largest military strike in history, with about 200 fighter jets dropping hundreds of munitions on roughly 500 targets, including air defense system and missile launchers across multiple locations in Iran. The biggest in history, and that was just day one. So let me come to you, Aaron. What can we expect on day 2?
I just got an update, Annie, and everyone. Bibi Netanyahu, and I quote, he said in the next coming days, we are going to be attacking thousands and thousands of targets in Iran. Not tens, not hundreds, but thousands and thousands. This obviously has been planned for a long time. And, while the buildup has been long and tedious, we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. We've been living on edge. Come on, let's get it going. Let's start. Let's get it over with. There's been question marks over the leadership of Trump and of Bibi Netanyahu. Are they going to cower in to the Qataris? Are they going to change their mind? But they've had this planned all along. And do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Esther and Mordecai. The central theme of the book of Esther is the word hiddenness. Of course, the name Esther is from the Hebrew word master, which means hidden. And Mordecai told her to hide her identity. And of course, God is hidden. He's not even mentioned one time in the book of Esther. So that's a key theme. And I just see so much of that in the build-up, in the lead-up, that Bibi, Donald Trump, obviously the Mossad, the CIA, probably insiders in Iran. I don't know too much about that, but no doubt that there are people that are working underground. The hiddenness and all of a sudden, what we're seeing is revealed. So I expect more of that to happen. Like you said, I mean, this is only day one. And as Hidea said, there's a lot to go, but we're going to enjoy this moment. What a moment of historic proportion. It's not every day that a regime of this magnitude falls, and we are witnessing it. And I can't imagine the people of Iran that have been waiting for this. And you know what? The other thing, in a way, and I don't say this cheaply, I just hope that the families of the thousands and thousands of people over the last month and 2 and 3 that have spilled their blood in Iran, I just hope that this gives those families a little bit of sense of healing, a little bit of sense of pride that their family's blood was not spilled in vain. In all war, there are casualties. And we look back at the 1948 war, the 67 war, the Yom Kippur war. We have plaques of memorial for those soldiers that died in those wars, but they died so that we can live and we can plan a better future for the next generation. And that's also what we were talking about before, to rebuild Iran. I would love to one day come and visit Iran. Sharham, you're going to be coming to Israel. I'm going to be your tour guide, but I'm going to be asking as a favor back, one day, God willing, I'm going to come to Iran and I want you to be my tour guide.
I'm going to take you guys all to the Caspian Sea. I'm going to show you guys some amazing caviar and some of them amazing smoked fish. But
wait, are we all going to Hotel Rue?
Yes,
that's where I grew up too. We used to summer in the Caspian Sea, and I remember
my grandparents
when the
lived in the
caviar
Caspian.
was so big tins of caviar was cheap. But Aaron,
Yes.
we got to get you. We'll get you. We'll find you the best kebab in the country. We have to get you. We say kebab kubide, which is ground beef, and then kebab bag, which is the kind of steak, and we'll do that.
Like
We'll give you a good tour. Yes, like filet mignon, exactly.
And Annie, I'm hoping I get to visit, and what you said was exactly right. I think there are so many thousands of people that are still involved in the government of IRGC, and President Trump said, "Lay down your weapons, and you'll have total immunity, and we'll make sure you have fair trial." That's so important. What happened today was historic, but what happens over the next few weeks is going to be even more historic. But the rebuilding process, Iran has the second or third largest oil reserves in the world. It has the largest gas reserves in the world. And one of the most important reasons that President Trump wanted to make sure to neutralize this barbarian regime and help Israel to do this is to make sure to control the oil resources and open Iran's business up for the West. I'm going to be representing, hopefully, God willing, the Texas 32nd Congressional District. Texas has houses the largest energy companies in the world. So I'm hoping, as a representative of the United States, I can go to Texas, from Texas to Iran, and negotiate, energy deals with the largest, owners of energy in Iran, with some of our biggest oil and gas companies that are based here in Houston, Texas, Chevron, ExxonMobil, Shell, ConocoPhillips, many of these companies that are based in Texas, hopefully can help rebuild the energy infrastructure. And we're going to have some amazing partnerships between the new free Iran, Israel, and the United States. And one last thing that I think is important: a lot of Iranians understand that this nightmare, this Islamic trauma that we've had to deal with in the last 47 years has been brought to us by the other European governments that have been complicit, mainly France and England. And you've seen that France and England have completely stayed out of this. Even, Israel has been our closest ally, but many countries in the Gulf have offered support. So the Iranian people are not going to forget this. And there's definitely a new structure of power in the world. It's no longer France, England, and the United States as the bastions of freedom. The new bastions of freedom in the world are going to be the new Iran, Israel, and the United States. These are going to be the world leaders, not France and England, which are now Islamic governments.
Absolutely. And guys, I want to go there. I want to go to what's next. But let me read this report confirmed by Iran International. The Islamic... Let me try that again. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is reportedly insisting on the rapid appointment of the next leader of the Islamic Republic. Information received by Iran International indicates the remaining command instructor of the IRGC is attempting to finalize this decision within the coming hours at dawn on Sunday. Now, we all know there are two options on the table that Khamenei himself would have appointed. If we could put up that picture of the options for our audience to get a visual of. So number one option is the grandson of Khamenei, the original hijacker, supreme leader of Iran. Option number two is the son of, on the right, we have the son of Khamenei himself. On the left, we have the grandson of Khamenei. They both have the qualifications through Sharia. One of them, grandson of Khamenei, does not have the educational qualification, which could be overwritten by the Supreme Court, the Sharia Supreme Court, if they choose to do so. But the problem right now is they don't have the luxury of having a Sharia Supreme Court because 3 of the 9 judges have been taken out. So I start with you, Hadijan, since you're more of an expert when it comes to it with U.S. involvement with government changes and all that, fun stuff. Where do you think this is going to go? And the question is, one, do you think Israel and U.S. are going to move fast enough to not even give them a chance of replacement? Or do you think they will get a chance by tomorrow dawn, which is here in about 7 hours, and pick one of these two to replace? I know I'm asking for a huge guess here, but I want our audience to have some sort of understanding. So tomorrow morning when they wake up and get the report, they're not hit off, out of the blue, not knowing what's coming.
Well, I'd like to take a couple of these statements in their entirety. So let's take Trump's speech that he says this is up to the Iranian people, and then take what Aaron said about 1,000, thousands of targets, and what Abtin said about us not installing people, allowing people to defect. So that is a significant difference in what we did in Iraq. We were arrogant in Iraq. We thought we were going to unemploy 300,000 Sunni Baathists and they were going to just, disappear into the sunset. And that turned into ISIS. So we were very heavy-handed in how we handled the transition. So I'm inclined to believe we want to annihilate the IRGC and the leadership of Iran, or so dismantle it that it doesn't really exist, so that the next regime can come into place, and so that, God willing, Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi can get himself there and form a coalition government, do a constitutional referendum, and whatever needs to be done on those ashes. I'm just praying that we've learned enough and that there's enough signals out there that we're not going to try to commandeer this, because you and I both know that, you know, some of the players, whether it's MEK being endorsed by Congress and the military and the CIA, that they could really muck this up. And so I'd like to believe that they will cripple it bad enough that whatever person they try to put in charge for the mullahs, that it's just not going to matter, because the transition will be ready and in place.
Ani?
Yes?
Ani, if I could say in response to that, I've just read that the IDF attacked the IRGC's central command compound 6 times.
Yes.
And absolutely pounded it, number one. And number two, I saw an article saying that some Israelis hacked an Iranian prayer app, Muslim prayer app, and they were telling them to defect. And you obviously have heard this one.
I've seen the screenshots of the messages that included that this is the last battle, included that maybe tomorrow there is no call to prayer on the streets. It included that Pahlavi will return. It included lots of lovely messages on that app. Yes, I've seen the screenshots. Yes.
And one other thing I would add is you know, for people in the U.S. that, you know, may not know, you know, some of these backwards Islamic jurisprudence, right? So when the Islamic Republic first happened, Khomeini was an Ayatollah and then became a Grand Ayatollah. There was one other Ayatollah in the entire world, and that was Montazeri, who actually was a little bit more moderate. And when Khomeini died, the Gorbanere and Rubah Makar, which are Rafsanjani and Khamenei, who were, you know, the Stalin, you know, Khomeini was kind of the Lenin figure, and these guys were more the Stalin, the thugs. Overnight, they basically, graduated him, gave him a couple different titles, and gave him this title of Grand Ayatollah, and then kind of sidelined Montazeri because he was more of a moderate, you know, even if there is such a thing. And, you know, now this title of Grand Ayatollah is watered down. And by the way, it's a bunch of garbage. It's a bunch of Islamic backwards ideology, jurisprudence that's garbage. But even based on their own garbage, you know, stat, you know, they've watered down this title of Grand Ayatollah, and they made Khamenei's son, who, by the way, is also reported to have been taken out as a Grand Ayatollah. So even by their own standards, which is really, really watered down, there used to be only 2 Grand Ayatollahs. They just started giving out this title to anyone in Qom. And even by their own definition of this stupid jurisprudence, they don't have anyone that's a Grand Ayatollah that they can call, the next supreme leader or the head of the IRGC.
Yeah, but remember, Khamenei himself, when Khomeini died, Khamenei himself was not qualified. Rafsanjani convinced the Sharia Supreme Court to sign off on it. While he became a supreme leader, he continued filling in the gap for requirements. So that's watering down and kind of, you know, not following their own rules. It started 40 years ago. Now, I would say if before Raisi died, the former president of Iran, who died in a helicopter crash, before he died, I was a little concerned because he was, by both sides of education and religious credit, he did have the qualifications. But he died before Khamenei. So I agree. That's why I'm thinking, with what's coming out of Israel about tomorrow and what we witnessed today, the 2 famous names or popular names running around, they may not even be here by tomorrow night. They might be taken out. But the danger comes back to, which I will read, Crown Prince Pahlavi just put out a statement about what we're literally talking about. And he has a much more positive attitude toward it than I do. But again, today, the undieable monster in my life died. So I might not be the most reliable, rational thinking person. But Crown Prince Pahlavi says, Ali Khamenei, the bloodthirsty tyrant of our time, the murderer of tens of thousands of Iran's bravest sons, has disappeared from the face of the earth. With his death, the Islamic Republic has effectively come to an end and will soon be consigned to the dustbin of history. Any attempt by the remnants of the regime to appoint a successor to Khamenei has already failed. Whoever they install in his place will have neither legitimacy nor survival and will undoubtedly be complicit in the crimes of this regime. To the military, law enforcement, and security forces, any attempt to preserve a collapsing regime is doomed to failure. This is your last chance to join the nation to help Iran transition steadily to a free and prosperous future and to participate in building that future. Although the death of the criminal Khamenei will not avenge the bloodshed, it can be a balm to the burning hearts of families seeking justice, grieving fathers and mothers, wives and children, and the families of those who sacrificed their lives in the national revolution of the milky son of Iran, the noble and brave nation of Iran. So that's his thought. He's saying the same thing you're saying in a different way. But Sharon Joan, we have not got your thoughts on this discussion. What do you think of what's next, where we're going? Do they get a chance to try to place a successor, or are they officially done and finito?
I mean, I think that they will try to the point that I think it was Abdin was making the point about the failure of the Europeans. Part of it, I think, will be if they get an exit strategy. We've suspected for a while that there's going to be two things. One, we've known that there's that the remnants of this regime, their families have resources, have stashed their nest eggs outside the country. So in one sense, either they lay down their arms, they surrender, or they leave. I think this time is so different. This time, the commitment from the United States, which, I mean, honestly, I got to be honest, I was surprised by the words of the president, right? Because we thought, we were all suspecting that, was this going to be just a limited strike against Iran, some sort of a little pinprick, rather than a decapitation of the regime. And I was pleasantly surprised that when President Trump came out and said what he said to the Iranian people, that this is your moment. And of course, Prime Minister Netanyahu came out and is saying the same thing. This is your destiny. So this is different. So it's really irregardless of whether Khamenei's son takes over or Khomeini's grandson takes over. I think it's going to be useless. I think that they're done, and the issue is how long until they're done. I'm not a fan. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I'm not a fan of blanket immunity. I was not happy with the idea that they're going to issue blanket immunity to those who lay down their weapons. I get it as a tactical, and maybe Hadiya can speak on this too, but I get it as a tactical approach. But there needs to be responsibility. But maybe that can come down the road where you figure out, who has what amount of blood on their hands. But I just, this is so different. And the fact that for the first time in 47 years, the United States of America is actually backing, saying, Iran, it's up to you. People of Iran, it's up to you. This regime has got to be done. There's got to be no option to stop until they're decapitated. Whether that continues, you go, level 2, level 3, level. Hey, Aaron, you remember in the Old Testament when the priests would go into the temple, and if they were not pure, and they would have to wear a rope around them with a bell on it, and if the bell stopped ringing, you knew that their sacrifice was not pleasing, and then you have to yank them out. Who wants to be the successors right now? Who wants to be called up? You're next. You're next. Meanwhile, You guys in Israel are really good at getting the intelligence of where they are. I love that app, by the way. Yeah. And I think that who's going to want to be next? That's my question. Maybe tomorrow, Annie John. Maybe the next day. If this continues and they keep hitting who's next, who's going to want to step up? to be who's next, unless you are truly believe in your cause and you want to be martyred.
Yes, but let me be the Annie Cyrus of the conversation. Let's not forget Khamenei, the original hijacker. He wasn't even Iranian. Remember, he was Indian.
No, he's Indian. Yes, yeah.
And right now you have the Iraqi Shia, those who traveled to Iran quickly to help crack down and kill Iranian protesters. They have plenty of the Khomeini mindset of taking power. Now, also, we need to look at the other side because Iran's government system is a little sometimes confusing. For them to survive, they could temporarily transfer power from Supreme Leader or Velayat Faqih to IRGC as the Islamic military. If that happens... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I have a gentleman that it's been so humbling in this entire process that I've been running for Congress, and I've become such good friends actually with my opponents, the people I'm running against. Every single one of them has just been amazing. It's so humbling to actually become friends with them. But a gentleman that I've been praying with had given me a homework assignment to every day in February read one of the chapters of Proverbs. So I want to just read you three sentences from Proverbs 28, which is today's date. The wicked flee though no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. When a country is rebellious, it has many rulers, but a ruler with discernment and knowledge maintains order. I mean, if that's not true, I don't know what it is.
That is very true. Again, the whole time, date, everything is aligning. For those of us, the believers, we see the signs and we see how it's all God's timing and God's will. But I am excited. I am beyond happy. I am very positive. But I want to make sure, at least for our audience, we're giving them the possibilities. Could this is the end of? I actually said it earlier today. I said the reason IRGC goes to start bombing the neighbor Arab countries is not because they're trying to achieve anything. They just see the end. They want to create as much damage and as much chaos as they can before they go down. That's their reasoning. So they see their end, and by then they already knew Khamenei is dead. But as I think Aaron said it at the beginning, this is not the end. This is a fantastic start, but it's not the end. And we do need to stay very level-headed when it comes to what we hear. And I want to also say something real quick to reporters out there. Guys, I understand it's exciting times for some, it's happy times for some, but try to verify information. This is not a time to put whatever comes across your screen and post and then later take it down. It could be very confusing. It could be fairly dangerous if you put information that is not verified. You can take an extra hour or two before posting, but don't do it because it could be misguiding. Why am I a teacher? I always have to give advice to people. Now, there is one voice that it's very missing from this conversation, and that is Brian House. Brian, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here, Annie, and it's interesting that you guys turned it toward the Bible and reading from the scriptures, because as I'm sitting here listening to you guys, minus Aaron, those who have this connection back to Iran, to Persia, and I want to bring Aaron in as our Messianic Jewish expert as well, but I'm listening to you guys and I'm thinking to myself, I'm sure a lot of my audience, because we study Bible prophecy so much, is wondering, where does this put us when it comes to Gog Magog and the coalition of nations that line up against Israel, which seems to include Persia? And I want to, we've mentioned before that prior to being divided into nations, Persia was many of the different stands,
yes.
And so I want to say, does this mean, oh, wow, well, this sets the prophetic calendar back a while now, doesn't it? I'm saying maybe not. Number one, if you take the original list of nations that were Persia, and many of them are the stands that are still quite radical and have nuclear weapons. And then number two, it was Aaron that taught us that Gog and Magog, Gog meaning the roof, the house, the top,
the head.
The head. Thank you, the head. I mean, that doesn't have to be Persia. It could just as easily be Turkey. And of course, we know where Erdogan is going with Turkey. So I may throw that out there for you guys to banter around about.
And can I speak to that too, Annie?
Yeah.
Go for it. Why don't we start with you?
Well, because as Iranians, we hold very dear Jeremiah 49 and 34 to 39. And so that is where the Lord talks about bringing on destruction to the kings and the rulers and breaking the bow of Elam and its kings and princes. And then it has a redemption story of redeeming and bringing back from the four winds the people that were dispersed of the people of Elam. And so to me, I think it fits within the prophetic timeline with Ezekiel 38 by saying this redemption can happen to a portion of Persia, which is Iran, and still have the enemies of Persia of the Bible, which are those other lands and are those other countries. So I think that it perfectly can still continue the prophetic time clock, that it's not necessarily Iran that leads it, but it's the other nations, Syria, Jordan, all the other Middle East, Turkey, that were part of Afghanistan, that were part of the Persian Empire of the Bible.
And even those passages in Jeremiah are related to the millennial kingdom, as some argue, either way, it doesn't disrupt the calendar for Gog Magog, particularly again if you go with Erdogan rising and he's the head. I mean, that could be again where we're going, right, Aaron?
Yes, it can. There are obviously a number of different case scenarios, possibilities. I think with the dust, that the dust definitely hasn't settled yet, and this is where coalitions can form. There may be things around the corner that have not yet been established that will be established. So we're going to have to sit back maybe and let it form, let the coalitions come. And for all we know, the new leadership of Iran, they may decide to turn to China or Russia. We don't know. We don't know how things are going to work themselves out. So it's a bit early to know, but certainly it's interesting to talk about it and consider possibilities.
What about a civil war in Iran, Shahram? What about a portion of Iran as we know it today splitting at some point and not being one nation?
Yeah, that's. I was just going to say that. I was asked that question this morning, actually, Brandon. And I've said that, there's three scenarios on the table, and one of them does not seem likely in that this regime stays as is. Because to your point, number one, that's going to be the task of Reza Pahlavi. The task is, can he keep Iran unified? He's talked about his the sovereignty aspect of the current boundaries of Iran, despite the various people groups that are there. So that's always a risk that Iran could split. The argument that I've also made, and I'm so glad you brought this up, is that at the time of the prophet Ezekiel, when he says Persia, we have to look at Persia at that moment, not the boundary today. So at that moment, Persia went from Western India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, modern-day Iran, parts of Turkey, Iraq, Syria, the Persian Empire that conquered Babylon under Cyrus's decree brought them back. Now, what's interesting is, you said it, Brandon, Persia is mentioned once in Ezekiel 38. Turkey is mentioned 4 times. So why was Turkey be mentioned 4 times? Meshach, Tubal, Togarmah, Beth Togarmah. So there's significance that Persia can still come against Israel. If we look at what I just mentioned with those nations, is Pakistan going to be friends with Israel? Is Afghanistan? Is Turkey? Is Syria under Jalani? Look at Iran. you still have the militias, as Annie just said. We still are going to have a problem in Iraq with the militias that are there supportive of the Islamic Republic. And one final thing, and I love what Hedy has said about Elam, because that is the prophecy. It is a remarkable prophecy. The only place I've said many times that you see the Lord mentions his throne other than Jerusalem is in Elam, in Persia. That's crazy. That's incredible, the symbiotic relationship. But I think, Brandon, to your point, here's a scenario I see. Iran is liberated. Ezekiel 38:11. Sorry I'm taking so long. Ezekiel 38:11. It says, quote, and then I'm going to read out of the New King James. And I will go up against the land of unwalled villages. I will go to a peaceful people who dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. Now, can I ask you guys a question? If this regime stays in power and it doesn't break apart, and you have someone like Pahlavi comes in who says, we're going to sign the Cyrus Accord with Israel, do you think Israel is ever going to be in unwalled villages? Is it ever possible that Israel is going to say we're at peace as long as this regime is breathing and living and threatening with this demonic hatred of Israel? No, it will never happen. But now there's a chance that there could become this global peace, which then unfortunately opens the door for the Antichrist to come. So, Brandon, I think that that's a likely scenario that this had to happen for the rest of Scripture to continue to move forward. I agree with you. It's continuing. I don't think this delays it. I think it just continues it. Other than, I said earlier, I don't know if you heard that part, I think this could give an opportunity for the gospel to go out from Iran in a way that maybe the Lord gives a window of opportunity for the Middle East to hear the gospel before everything, turns bad.
I mean, one of the most important things is there are 57 Muslim countries in the world, and all of the migration that's happening right now is from from these Islamic countries fleeing to these countries that are Judeo-Christians with the Judeo-Christian values, right? So one of the things I always said is we've been playing defense, and it's time to play offense. It's time to bring Christianity back to the Middle East. Syria was a Christian country. Lebanon was a Christian country. Iran is probably going to be a Christian country. I think with this domino effect that's going to happen with the head of the snake, the Night King, as I call him, with a dagger in his heart, just watch what's going to happen when people are going to have freedom of choice, and they're going to want these Christian values in their country, because most of them have very rich countries. They don't need to flee. They just have bad rulers that have been destroying their countries and taking those natural resources and spending on terrorism. And think about all of the lobbyists, all of the dirty money that's been spent on all the terrible causes. All of that's going to come to an end. I mean, one of the most interesting things that happened is when the internet went out in Iran a few weeks ago, all of the Scottish separatist movement accounts went dark. So people started realizing these separatist accounts were not actually based in Scotland. They were based in these farms in the Islamic Republic that probably Russia paid Iran to run. And a lot of that's going on in Pakistan, but the head of the snake is gone. The domino has fallen. And I think a lot of people are going to step in and help the rest of these dominoes to fall. And hopefully we'll have freedom spread across the Middle East.
Which brings up the question is, are we going to see a decrease in the anti-Semitism on social media in America if a lot of it was being pushed and funded by Iran, number one? Number two, yet at the same time, we have actual Americans, thanks to people, unfortunately, like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Stu Peters, and all these other people that I think are kicking up the anti-Semitism. So what do you think we're going to see in that regard, Annie, with the wave of anti-Semitism on social media this next week?
Oh, already since this morning, I have seen the spike again. And as an excuse, like some of the comments I've been seeing or some of the posts, it's literally they're saying U.S. attack on Iran, then continue it with, it was Netanyahu who forced Trump to do this. Now we're going to go into full. Every angle they're playing is it's Netanyahu's fault. It's the Jewish people. I even have seen, I have seen certain comments or posts, I should say, on X about how what happened to Khamenei should have been happening to Bibi. instead of Khamenei, and it will get worse. But I will say, like everything else, it gets worse before it gets better. It will, if things go the way everybody was just explaining, especially with Crown Prince Pahlavi, not as a king, I prefer a king, but as even a transitional government, that will automatically start actually creating even more anti-Semitism inside America, because their narrative is going to come down crashing, Brannon. Right now, they have a narrative because of Iran, because of Hezbollah, because of Hamas, because of Houthis. They have a narrative to make Israel this big, bad monster. But with that transition in Iran, that narrative will collapse. So they're going to have to come up with new ways and new narratives, such as Jews run America, to boost it back up. But it's definitely going to get worse.
Well, let's pray for a lot of reasons we don't see any terrorist attack in America, because we obviously know this is a spiritual battle. And if Satan is allowed to organize, as he does in the hearts and minds of people in this sinful, fallen world, and we have terrorist attacks in America that are tied back to the actions by Israel and mostly Israel today, that will be used to say, you see now, the Jews are responsible for these horrific terrorist attacks we're seeing in America. So I'm just praying, obviously, that none of this happens for a lot of reasons. But if you're thinking the way Satan thinks, the trap would be to now go after America and use this to spike the anti-Semitism. I hear you agreeing there, Shahram.
Brandon,
yeah.
I actually disagree. I think a lot of this anti-Semitism is actually going to go down. And the reason for that is majority of this anti-Semitism is not organic. This is inorganic. You know, we talked about Trita Parsi and the lobbies that the Islamic Republic has been funding under the Quincy Institute and under the, NIAC, right? These are known lobbies for the Islamic Republic and very sophisticated. They had a lot of Republicans, that they had parroting, America first, we should not attack, this is Israel's war. And they're so sophisticated, they weren't saying Islamic Republic is good. The Islamic Republic is using their mouthpiece, NIAC and Quincy Institute, to say, the Islamic Republic is so bad. But listen, they just let them fall, let them deal with their own problems. This is not our thing. And they fooled a lot of Republicans to parrot this. But the amount of money that the Islamic Republic and Qatar have spent on this inorganic way to get anti-Semitism going, a lot of that's going to stop. Now, there's a lot of useful idiots out there that are believing this stuff. But most of that is they bought a lot of influencers. I mean, people like Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson, who used to be friendly to Israel. Now, all of a sudden, at 55 years old, he switched the script. People don't have change of politics unless something dramatic happens in their life or they're getting paid. So
or the theology. Maybe it's not politics driving it.
Yeah,
maybe it's their replacement theology that's driving it. And now I'm watching and waiting for what all the replacement theologians and the hyper-Calvinists, the neo-Calvinists and Reconstructionists and Dominionists are going to be saying, because they're probably not driven by politics. They're not driven by the money. Right. I'll give them those two passes. But they are driven by eschatology and theology, and those guys are not going to give up that horse.
Exactly. Brandon, that's what I was going to say. Sorry, Aaron, real quick. That's what I was going to say is that the uptick is going to come from, because again, those voices have been silent throughout the last 7 weeks. Those voices that were all about Israel is committing genocide in Gaza have said zero when it comes to the genocide of the Iranian people. So they're not going to give it up, as you said, because they're theologically driven. They're theologically deceived. And again, Brandon and I have talked about this many times. We are underestimating that this is probably about 3/4 of the American church that is steeped in replacement theology or fulfillment theology. Even last night where I was speaking, I had the issue with people. I have a pastor friend of mine here in Western Washington where I'm speaking right now, another who's just turned on Israel. It's like they're like falling out of the trees as they're turning on Israel and getting their theology wrong. So for that reason, I agree with Aptina on the political side potentially, although, again, I'm very concerned about the percentage that is within the political right of the supporters of Nick Fuentes and the Groypers and whatever, but I think theologically would be my concern. As the church goes, the nation goes, and I do think, like Annie said, unfortunately, this may fuel the anti-Israel, anti-Jew rhetoric within the quote church, and for that reason, I think prophecy is continuing to go forward because we know that that's what's going to happen. Brandon, again, as you said before this, like the Gog-Magog war, that no nation, I mean, no nation, according to that, stands with Israel when that happens. So think about that.
And, we just saw a Gallup survey poll that says that for the first time, more Americans now have an affinity toward the Palestinians than they do the Israelis. Sure.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
And that's exactly where I was wanting to go is, we still, the Palestinian issue is still there, even though at the moment it doesn't look likely. Then you've got Donald Trump's, after his presidency, his position as the chairman of the Peace Council. Where is that going to go? And the scriptures say that all the nations one day will come against Israel. So, I would. I'd like to be optimistic and say, with Abtin and agree and say maybe it is going to decline, and maybe there will be this season of peace, season of calm. Let's not forget also the Qataris, who are the main financial funders of the universities in the United States. And then, of course, the dark horse in all of this, who are going to rise up, and that's Turkey. Now that the Shiite leader, we've talked about the Shaham, that the main Shiite leader is now has had his legs cut. Perhaps this is going to be the vacuum that the Sunni Turks.
Yeah. And I'd actually like to piggyback on that, because the Shiite population is 20% of the Muslim world. 80% are Sunnis, and they have been the absolute worst when it comes to exporting their Salafi Wahhabi ideology. They changed, Islamic schools all over the United States and around the world, in Southeast Asia and Africa. All of the money that Qatar puts in our universities and that Saudis put in our university, none of that has changed. And so and the Marxist Islamist alliance continues to flourish. So I don't think that taking out Iran will diminish the anti-Semitism as much as we would like.
One interesting point I think is interesting to note is that Qatar is this tiny little country, tiny little area that has 300,000 population, but it's earned trillions of dollars. And most of this is mainly France and England and other European powers, by the way, who have starved their Iranian exploration of the South Pars field, basically completely cut off Iran from the technology and allowed Qatar to pump gas out of the same shared gas field called the South Pars. And 90% of the South Pars is under Iran. Only 10% or so is owned by the Qataris. And that's one of the reasons they've been pumping all of this to basically keep the gravy train going and have these mullahs in power. Now that the Iranian oil and gas industry is going to be opened up to the West, the influence of Qatar is going to go down because they're not going to be, pumping as much gas as Iran could potentially pump out of this South gas. So this has been a theft. This has been a theft of the Iranian people, and most of that money has been spent, billions of dollars in our universities to export this backwardsism. Some of that's going to stop when Iran starts basically taking out its own natural resources out of the ground instead of Qatar doing it and selling it to the Europeans.
Can I jump in real quick? I am loving, our audience is loving this discussion, but we got some new footages of people of Iran are back on the streets.
Are they dancing?
Dancing.
Let's roll some of those clips, Thomas. Let's roll them.
We got to teach Aaron how to do some.
Yes.
this is amazing. You see? It did not turn into Iraq. It did not turn into Libya. People are out there dancing. Yes.
We don't hear any Allah Akbar. Allah. We don't hear any of that, right?
We don't hear Allah Akbar, and we don't see anyone with chapia around their neck. We just see beautiful, gorgeous Persian ladies' hair flying while they dance.
By keffiyeh, you mean the terrorist garb?
Yeah.
Yes, the terrorist garb. Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say that I've seen. I mean, I sure hope he's correct about Qatar, but poor Tucker, because Tucker was going to move there. He's going to have to move into that area of Qatar and get a job, because if Qatar loses all its of oil money, Tucker is going to have to. Once he moves there, he said he loves it there, so he should probably move to that part of where the employees work and just get a job.
A lot of people don't know this, but Tucker Carlson has been flying around with a convicted rapist named Andrew Tate and his brother. He's been flying around on his private jet, going to all these different countries. And Andrew Tate is converted to Islam and is trying to, export some of this Islamistness on the world. But, Tucker Carlson needs to post more pictures, because everywhere he's been followed. Almost all the interviews that he's done, Andrew Tate has done those interviews. He's been on the same private jet with Andrew and Christian Tate, flying around the world and spewing this hate that he's been spewing. And his days will come. I mean, this is a guy who is a convicted rapist or accused of rape.
Accused.
They're dancing.
Yes, I know, it's amazing. Earlier, I said
real quick. I gotta run. I've got an event out here, so I love you all. Celebrate.
Love you too.
And I just.
So nice to meet you, Hediye.
Hediye, before you go, what was your website? Your website. Tell our audience your website.
Resurrectministry.com. All my socials are there.
Okay, resurrectministry.org. Thank you, Hediye John.
No,
we're celebrating with you. Oh, the .org. Okay, .com. I got that. See, this is why I cannot do what Brandon does. But I'm honored to sit here. Thank you, Hediye John. Be safe. We're celebrating with you.
God bless.
Bye-bye. Okay, guys, we're gonna.
Annie, I'm gonna have to duck out as well.
Okay, Aaron.
It's almost 1 o'clock, and it's been a rough day, and I'm expecting, while your program's been going on, 3 times the alarms have gone off, so I'm expecting a pretty rough night's sleep. But it's been an honor to be with you guys, so thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you being here. Keep safe. And again, we're celebrating as much as you are. And tell everybody you see that Iranian people are grateful to you, to your government, and to your wonderful, brave military. I'm sure we get you back on tomorrow for more updates.
Yeah, I would love to. Thanks, Annie. Thanks. And
wonderful meeting you, Aaron.
Yeah, God bless you, brother. And shalom.
God bless you. Shalom. Shalom.
God bless you, brother. Praying for you. Praying for your safety.
Okay, guys, we're gonna. There are a few things. We're gonna go on for a little longer. There are a few more updates I want to make sure to give and get Brandon's and Sharon's and Upton's update on. But I do want to, as we come to our almost second hour of broadcasting, in total 4 hours of broadcasting today. Let me remind you, we are here because Brandon House is not a self-centered, narcissist man like many people out there. He is a generous, God-fearing, good man who allows all of us to have access to his platform that he has built from scratch, over 30 years of hard work. And he allows us, I've said this many times on my show, which airs Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I have said it many times. He doesn't charge me for airtime. He doesn't charge me for producer time. He doesn't charge me for equipment. He literally allows me to sit here Monday through Friday, have a great quality of production. As you know, I sometimes say his name. Thomas is the one who makes the show look as good. I just talk, as you know, and it all happens because Brandon allows it to happen. And I always say, and I will say it one more time, on this afternoon of February 28th, as wonderful news is developing in Middle East, history is being made, and thank God that minimum injuries and no casualties has been happening yet. We are here. I'm positive we're going to be here many hours tomorrow during the week, especially because President Trump just did a phone interview with ABC, which I'll give you the details in a minute. But he did say this is going to go on for at least another week for him to achieve his goal. So we're going to be here. And I can tell you, being involved with behind the scene production, this is not cheap. It's not. Between the bandwidth, the fiber, the equipment, the pay for all the wonderful young men we have in the control room, it's very costly, way more than you would think. So let me remind you the 3 ways you can put your support behind the network that is giving voice to many of us who were almost silenced by other networks or the woke culture or social media. One, the tax-deductible way you can make a donation to Brannon's Foundation. That is support that supports financially the network. That is WVW. I got to work on this accent thing. WVWfoundation.com. That's where you can make a donation online, tax-deductible, or make a phone call with a friendly voice and make a donation on the phone. Or there's an address there where you can write a check, put it in the mail, send it, and again, you support the ministry that is supporting the network. Another way to do it is you can get your everyday products that you use anyways, get them from Worldview Tube sponsors, and that way you're supporting the network while supporting your own whole health and household. That is worldviewtube.com/sponsors. There's an S at the end. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. That's where you can get your Bella Grace, which you all heard Brannon talk about it. I have been using it for a long time. Numi is another product you can get, and many other sponsors. Last but certainly not least is the Worldview store. Just go to worldviewstore.com. Everything, I promise you, anything you can think of that you would need to be prepared for any kind of crisis or emergency, you'll find it on worldviewstore.com. And Brannon's prices, I have looked at some of those products other places, you won't find it. He does not overcharge. He doesn't go greedy on, because I know, knowing him, he wants you to be prepared. He wants you to be able to afford what you need for yourself and your family, to be prepared with everything that is coming. And I remind you again, Kash Patel did say today that they have raised all the red alerts on FBI for potential terrorist attack across the country. So worldviewstore.com is the last or third way of supporting. Forgive me if I'm forgetting other ways. I'm going to be honest with you. It has been a wonderful day. It has been an amazing day with all the news happening in the Middle East. But on top of that, it has been an honor of its own to actually sit here, sitting in for Brannon House. I'll tell you guys, it is an honor, but the pressure that comes with it, I'm trying to hide it. But I do hope I didn't forget any other ways you can support the network. If I did, I'll make sure to mention it at the end of the program. Let's head back to our guests. Sharon John Optin, and I think Brannon is still with us. So here's a little concerning news. On an interview, phone interview with ABC News a little while ago, not long ago, a little while ago, Donald Trump, in response to a question about Iran's political future, President Trump confirmed that the United States has a very good idea for potential alternative figures for the country's future leadership and has identified options in that regards. So we are going to pick the future government, or am I reading too much into this? Sharon,
hasn't Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu, hasn't he shown some deference toward the Crown Prince, Annie?
Oh, he has pretty much endorsed Crown Prince Pahlavi.
Exactly. So and being that that's the next door neighbor, and being that it's Israel that has suffered a terrorist attack after terrorist attack, not to mention October 7th, that I think you're the one that has taught a lot of us was funded in part by Iran. Mm-hmm. why, and being that Israel's the one that really pulled this off today, why do we even have a say in this? I mean, as an American, I know that may shock people, but I think we need to stay out of this. And Israel's done a great job thus far, and I think this ought to be their decision, not ours. We've screwed up too much. Okay, we've kind of lost the right to do nation building as much as we have screwed up.
Yeah, we have this incorrect narrative here. Sorry, Sharon, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, to Brandon's point, boy, how we forget history. The United States royally screwed up 47 years ago. So why on earth now, to Brandon's point, would the United States think that it can step in when so far Israel is carrying the bulk of this, as was discussed on this program? Israel led the way. The United States is supporting Israel, as Annie said earlier. So therefore, this is Israel's preemptive strike. And therefore, I agree. And so, yes, Annie, to your point, those words are concerning, because if you remember, Steve Witkoff, who had commented that he had met with the Crown Prince at the behest of the president, and he said he's a nice guy. I like him, but we're going to follow the president's policy. So none of that really gives you the warm feelings. None of that gives you the, the lovey-dovey feeling that they are going to understand. Now, if they back anybody but Pahlavi, good luck in the midterm elections. Good luck with the support of the Iranian population in the midterm elections for Republicans and for Trump if they back
Which is how many millions? Which is how many millions?
2 million.
Voters?
2 million voters,
yeah.
minimum.
At least
so
2 million voters minimum. Exactly.
Minimum 2 million legal voters that are of Iranian American descent in the United States.
This action today by Trump saying what he said to the Iranian people, this action has finally brought them back. Like, okay, all right, we were very upset. We were very dismayed that he said help is on the way and nothing happened for 6 weeks. But now, okay, we're good. We're good. Thank you. We're good. Although, again, as we've all said, this is really Israel. This is what we've said all along, right? We said Israel needs to do it. Israel needs to finish the job. Israel needs to take the lead. And I'm praise God that it's gone down that way. But Trump is going to take a victory lap. And so therefore, this is what my concern is sharing with Annie's, is that when he makes statements like that,
Well, here it gets a little worse. It gets a little worse.
I think. Oh, sorry. Go
ahead. Go ahead and finish your thought, Optin, and then I'll tell you how it gets worse.
I want to hear the worst part before I say it.
Okay. President Trump put out a post on his Truth Social and said, Khamenei, one of the most evil people in history, is dead. This is not only justice for the people of Iran, but for all great Americans and those people from many countries throughout the world. I'm going to skip through the bragging part of me. I'm going to get to where it gets worse. He goes on to say, this is the single greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. We are hearing that many of the IRGC military and other security and police forces no longer want to fight and are looking for immunity from us, being US. As I said last night, now they can have immunity. Later, they only get death. Hopefully, the IRGC and police will peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots and work together as a unit to bring back the country to greatness it deserves. That process should soon be starting in that. Not only the death of Khamenei, but the country has been in only one day. So we're merging IRGC and police forces with the people to bring back the country? Did you all catch that? Mixing it all up?
I think we were reading a little too much into this. My late father, God bless him, he used to tell me, when the government changed, they jailed him and gave him a death sentence. Then he went back and served. And he was shocked. Some of the people that were in the military academy with him, that were, the biggest Shaw supporters, overnight, they were so fair weather, they started growing beards and became these IRGC thugs. And he was actually shocked how these people could sell out their own country so fast. I suspect there's a lot of these IRGC people that are opportunists that will soon shave their mustache and beards, and they'll be, pro Reza Pahlavi. But I've talked to people that are in Iran today, and they tell me there's somewhere about 1.5 million to 2 million people that are diehard and, basically cult followers that believe this stupid ideology that I don't think they're going to be reformed. And something has to happen for those people. And I think it's foolish to believe that these people overnight are going to be fair weather and they're going to be on Reza Pahlavi's side. I agree with you that if the Iranian people have decided they wanted Reza Pahlavi as a leader, and that's why I make this analogy with Maryam Rajavi and the evil Daenerys, that this everyone thought that she was this savior, and then they saw that she was even more bloodthirsty than Cersei or others. And I think it's scary that the United States has kind of harbored this MEK in Albania and put them on ice in case they need them later. The United States has done, we've done other things in the past where, we've trusted other terror organizations. Like the guy that's running Syria right now is not a good guy, but he's kind of our dictator, right? So that part scares me. But I trust President Trump, and I know Trump will do the right thing. I don't think President Trump is going to fall. And the same way that people doubted President Trump, I've had so many Iranians and Iranian Americans give me hate and say, oh, President Trump lied to us, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Today he delivered. I wouldn't read too much into this. And again, I don't think it's Israel's part or us as the United States to decide what the future of Iran is. I think Iranians need to decide, and Iranians will make the right choice because they have learned. But there is going to be this 1.5 million to 2 million remnants of these dirty, disgusting Islamic Republic, that some of these people are cult leaders and so brainwashed that it will never be reformed. So I think what the United States and Israel's job should be is to make sure that the elections or any referendum are fair, but stay out of the Iranian people's way and let them make the decision who they want to rule. But we can't have all of this. We spent about $15 billion to get all these troops to the Middle East, and Israel spent more. We can't just let that happen what Carter did, where he thought, Bani Sadr was going to be president, and then the British and the French had different ideas, and they put the Ayatollahs in charge. So it's going to be pretty complicated, but we have to be cautiously optimistic. I think we can't be so quick to judgment. We hope that the right thing is going to happen. The people of Iran have learned their lesson. I don't think they're going to put any more dictators in power. But I think as the United States and Israel, we have to watch this process very carefully to make sure that it doesn't fall into Soviet hands or Chinese hands or people that are going to be hating the United States. We need Iran back as an ally of the United States, and that's important.
Yes, and I think that's exactly where, again, not just because it's my vote, and clearly majority of Iranians inside and outside of Iran, but this is exactly why I agree with I've been one of the many people since June of last year saying U.S. should completely stay out of it, including military action. And again, I'm very glad that we operated the way we did today, and hopefully the rest of it. But I agree with this staying out of it, but I do also agree, for example, what Bibi did. They're only qualified, not just on the paper, but rather in action and credential. The only qualified, at least transitional government leader right now is Crown Prince Pahlavi. So just like Israel has acknowledged him, I do believe U.S. should acknowledge him as well. Not necessarily endorse him, but just acknowledge his existence, maybe. So when the transition comes, which I don't think it's going to be that far from today, we can, he can have the legitimacy that is required for him to be able to deal with that 1-2 million people who are going to try to, take advantage of the chaos, including, by the way, I want to say that 1 or 2 million you're talking about, Optin, a lot of them are part of MEK. Those are the Iranians inside Iran that MEK keeps talking about. We have our followers and we have millions following us. Those are the MEK majority members. They're split between MEK and IRGC, but basically. So they're all going to need to be handled, and that's where we're going to need, in a different way, boots on the ground support in Iran. I'm sure IDF will gladly put that support for us, but I don't see the harm of acknowledging Crown Prince Pahlavi, at least from our administration.
Yeah, I mean that's what should have happened already, though, right? And so, I mean, here's the thing: the longer it goes without the acknowledgement, the more I'm with you that you start getting concerned that they have, because that's exactly what I was going to say to Optin's point, is that in fact we just heard, right, that there was some skirmishes supposedly between MEK and the forces that were guarding Khamenei. As of last week, there was some talk about that, but that is an internal percentage, like you said, of the IRGC or of the Basij, because they blend in, and this is the same way they blended in under the part of the Shah's regime. My dad was concerned about that element within the military that had been infiltrated by these communist Marxists. So they were, stirring up the hornet's nest then. They could be stirring up the hornet's nest now in a vacuum. And that's, like you said, what's got to be very important here for transition is that there's got to be some element of stability. Number one, what I'd like to see is hopefully communications open. Because if communications, I mean, remember, Anijan, Crown Prince was getting 60, 70, 80 million views to his statements to the Iranian people before the blackout. So what I'd love to see is immediately, if there is an ability, and I don't know the technical aspect of it, but however they could restore the ability for the internet and the satellite so that the Crown Prince could directly communicate to the Iranian people. And I think that will go a long way in stopping any type of a U.S. Kind of a soft coup here in picking who they want to pick, rather than, or at least who the deep state wants to pick, rather than the people of Iran.
Yeah, and I honestly, I've been saying from day one, I pray that Optin is right. I pray that I'm reading too much into it. But bottom line is, even if anyone, not just US, if anyone tries to do a soft coup there and push MEK, we all know Iranian people are not going to even stand for a second. Immediately, it's going to be the next the next revolution immediately. And that's another part that I say positive, knowing there are enough advisors to tell President Trump that, listen, it doesn't matter how much they have spent in our Congress, and they got 144 Republicans to endorse Mariam Rajavi. Iranian people are not going to take this well, so just let it be. Now,
the only people that would be worse than the Islamic Republic, I mean, and that's very hard standard to meet. The only people that would be worse than the Islamic Republic would be the MEK. And imagine how hard of a standard that is, to find somebody that actually is worse than these mullahs.
Yes, it's definitely, and we all know Iranian people will, it doesn't matter which generation they're from. They are not going to stand MEK. They're not going to welcome MEK. But again, today has been amazing. I would say the last, from 1:15 a.m. Eastern time until now has been absolutely amazing. Gentlemen, Sharon John, Optin John, is there any update, anything else you want to say before we conclude the coverage for today?
Sharon John,
thank you. No, just first of all, thank you for having me on. Thank you for covering this. Your point to Brandon, I'm so grateful to be on this platform, to have this opportunity, because we don't get these opportunities. I mean, it is so unique. So folks, please support this network. Make sure that we keep this going to get this type of coverage. I would just say, please pray. This is a tremendous moment right now, obviously for the people of Iran, but it's a tremendous moment for the gospel. It's a tremendous opportunity for the Christians in Iran to be able to breathe and say, okay, now we can hopefully become bolder, and Iran can be used of the Lord for great good, at least for whatever period of time we have until, prophecy continues. So that's my message. And to Brandon's point, I want to encourage Americans, be vigilant. We know that there are these sleeper cells. May the Lord destroy them all. May the plans fail and fall in Jesus' name, whatever they're planning. But be vigilant out there, folks. Be careful with your families, with your friends. Be careful when you're in, crowded or public areas, because if indeed, the rats are going down with the ship, and that's the most desperate time. So please pray. Be vigilant, watch out, have your 360 awareness, and please pray for the Christians in Iran. And God bless you both. And Abdi and John, I look forward to getting to see you in Texas, hopefully next month. I'll connect with Annie. I'll get your information.
I'm looking forward to it, Annie. It's been such a pleasure to getting to know you. But let me tell you, I'm supposed to meet up with Tommy Robinson on Wednesday. I'm supposed to be on Fox News tomorrow night. It's been so amazing, so humbling. But it all started with you. So anytime you ever need me on the show, anything you need from me, you have my undying loyalty. But to echo what Sharon Jones said, please pray for our troops. I mean, we're talking about a happy day. For me, I'm 47 years old. My dream, my entire life, I've had a lot of dreams. I wanted to be a fighter pilot. There's a lot of different dreams. I have dreamed to be in Congress. But my most important dream, every day that I've had my entire life, I thought about this dream every day, was today, the day that I would see Ayatollah Khamenei and the Islamic Republic fall. Imagine, for 47 years I've had this dream, and today my dream came true. I never thought I would see this day. But please pray for our troops. Please pray for all the people in Iran, Christian and soon to be Christian, and whatever religion they have. But the people of Iran, but most importantly, our troops, and then also people in the UAE and the Gulf states that are getting attacked, and most important, the people of Israel who have basically given up their safety, and they said, we're willing to go into these bunkers to get the people of Iran, our brothers and sisters in Iran, freedom. The people of Iran will not forget the people of Israel. You're going to have, as much as I'm going to have undying loyalty to Annie and Brandon and this network, the people of Iran are going to have undying loyalty to the people of Israel. Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, out of all the Islamic countries in the world, not a single one stepped in to save the people of Iran. But Donald Trump and the country of Israel saved the people of Iran. And, it's still not over. There's a lot of fighting to be done. But please pray for a quick resolution to this and a free Iran soon.
Amen.
Guys, Shalom's website is tillministry.com. That's till, T-I-L, tillministry.com. Optin's is optinvaziri.com. Optin is A-B-T-E-E-N. Optinvaziri.com. Check out their website, support their work. They're both great patriots, and we make sure that we know the people who show up, especially on Brandon's show. Optin, John, Sharon, John, thank you so much. We'll stay in touch, and yes, let's keep everybody in prayers as we get through the night. And Brandon, if you're still with us, any final thoughts from you before I close the show?
Thank you to everyone, and mostly thank you to you, Annie, for putting all this together. Great job hosting this. I know our audience appreciates everyone and your leadership on this panel and hosting this tonight. Thank you, Annie.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Those words mean a lot to me when you say them. I feel good. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night to our lovely audience. We're going to be back. If anything, I can't think of anything more major than what just happened. But if anything major happens, we might just break into programming later tonight or not. But I'm pretty sure I will talk to Brandon about it. But I'm pretty sure tomorrow morning we'll be back with more updates. As Aaron said, Israel is planning to target thousands tomorrow. They only did 500 today. So I'm sure there will be a lot to cover. We have more of our experts to invite on the panel, and we'll go live tomorrow, if not twice, definitely for one round with more experts and more updates and more news and analysis and commentary. But excuse me, make sure to share this feed. And I'm pretty sure we're going to turn around. We're going to run this 2-hour portion and the morning 2-hour portion overnight for anybody who missed that, for our audience in Europe and Middle East who might be asleep. We're approaching the morning time over there. www.foundation.com. www.foundation.com is where you can make a tax-deductible donation. And I know we're getting close to where our tax returns are coming in. One of the best ways to spend portion of our tax return is to make a tax-deductible donation to a foundation and a ministry that is supporting this network. Also, you can go to worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Make your normal purchases with healthy product that Brandon and Melissa have used. They have used it themselves when they were convinced that these products are healthy and work and good enough for them. Then they have introduced those products to you. You can find all of those products at worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Last but not least, worldviewstore.com is where you can get all of your preparation, as I said, from generators to medical kits to freeze-dried food, water filters, everything else. Worldviewstore.com. And I know Brandon would be okay with me saying, if you like to support my work directly, you can go to my website, liveuptofreedom.com. The signed copies, the paperback signed copies of my book are now available in shipping. Or you can go to my Substack at liveuptofreedom.substack and become a paid subscriber. That way you will financially support what I do. Please stay in prayer for everyone involved. One mistake, one wrong move, one crazy IRGC is all it takes for this glorious day to turn into some sort of tragedy tomorrow morning. So pray for everyone involved, including those of us over here trying to report and bring you the news. It could sometimes be exhausting, so we can use your prayers as well. We will see you back here tomorrow with more updates on U.S.-Israel strike on Iran. Good night, guys.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
Studies have shown America's water supply is not safe. It is filled with toxins and chemicals. Go look it up. This is fact. Fact check me. And then I'll offer you this solution. Worldviewwater.net. Take a look at this list. This water purifier removes all kinds of harmful toxins like lead, fluoride, chlorine, arsenic, pesticides, bacteria, and pharmaceuticals, and more. This is the water I give to my 3 dogs. I drink it every day. I have one of the filters in my kitchen, under the kitchen sink, and then I have one on my shower. Do you know how much your skin absorbs of water when you're in the shower each and every day? Protect yourself and your body. Remain healthy. Eat good food. Drink purified, clean water.